before I get started today and before I head on out the door and before I get my inbox flooded with a lot of emails and a lot of questions about this Bishop Eddie Long, first of all, number one, let me address this. And I'm going to be truthful, actual, and factual. You may not like it. Of course, that's irrelevant. I could care less about what you like or don't like, but I'm still going to tell the truth and represent the truth as presented by the book. First of all, number one, Bishop Eddie Long and whatever he does in his life, it is none of my business. It does not bother me one bit, and I'm not literally appalled about his behavior or the behavior of other people who are in Christianity. Christians are doing what they're supposed to do. You have to understand, Christianity is a creation of the state of Rome. It's a Roman religion. It has nothing to do with this Bible. Now, they may use these scriptures, which are Hebraic in nature, and they're written by Hebrew authors. They may use this Bible to try to govern certain principles of their religious beliefs and the state, the secular state. But you can tell that these people are not Israelites, and you can tell that they are not of the faith of Abraham. I mean, after all, if there's something that happens and transpires or takes place that goes on inside of a church or an assembly, if you're going to follow the principles that are and the guidelines that are laid out in this book, what does it tell you to do? The reason why that people today in Christianity have to go to secular governments is because there's no power and there's no authority and there's no spiritual influence of righteousness in these Christian churches. Because if it was, then they could actually go to the elders of the church for judgment and actually receive proper restitution and proper reparations for wrong that has been done. But that's not the case, is it? So what do we have? You know, the Apostle Saul already addressed this stuff, and he told us exactly what should happen. So you see, whenever something happens in what you call church today, you prove to the world and you prove to your own self, whether you conscious or not, who is actually your priesthood, who are your elders, and who are your leaders. It's not the people who have titles, pastors, bishops, elders, ministers, deacons, evangelists, apostles, and prophets. It ain't. It's the justices, it's the judges, the lawyers, the system who you submit to, and that's who you look for to help you in your grievances, because there's no influence in those Christian churches. That's the reason why Pastor Dow keep telling you to come out of it. See, I can't help you out of this chaotic ignorance if you don't want to submit to righteousness. But they're doing what they're supposed to do. You know, homosexuality is a spirit. It's an evil, demonic spirit, and it takes place, all that mess takes place in those churches. I know as far as on my watch here as an Israelite, we don't deal with issues like it. We don't have problems. And if we had problems, we take care of them inside of house. The secular world and the secular government is none of their business what goes on inside the assembly. We take care of it right here. If there's any issues or trouble, we don't go. And I'm going to read you real quick what the scriptures have to say here in 1 Corinthians chapter 6. And let's see how your Christian churches line up with them. That's the reason why I tell you need to come out of them, because they don't have any understanding and they don't submit to godly principles whatsoever at all. And it's just chaotic. It really truly is. But I'm going to show you what Paul said, because he had already addressed certain matters like this. Now my Bible is kind of falling apart here, but we're going to go over 1 Corinthians chapter 6. Dare any of you having a matter against another go to law before the unjust? You see, Paul is already saying, what's wrong with you people? Why in the world would you even consider going out there to the unjust? Watch this, and not before the saints. I tell you why, because there ain't no saints inside of those Christian churches, because saints, and the term saints, the title saint, the word saint has nothing to do with someone who ascribes to a Roman religion. Do ye not know that the saints shall judge the world? And if the world shall be judged by you, are you unworthy to judge the smallest of matters? Apparently, New Birth Missionary Baptist Church is unworthy to judge the smallest of matters. Know ye not that we shall judge angels, and how much more things that pertain unto this life. So the understanding according to the Hebraic scriptures is that, we're not to go to the world for anything, especially when it comes to judgment. We have our own laws, statutes, and commandments that govern our behavior. And then it actually tells us how we should judge. Now, the reason why that you can't get that type of power and influence amongst the leadership and the eldership, because your leaders ain't worth a damn. And that's just the truth. Your elders ain't worth 2 dead flies. And then the brethren in the church and the sister in the church are worse than the elders. You know what the sad part about it is? I wonder how many times people has ever been before a pastor, and then this pastor covered the sin, forgave the sin, helped and counseled many of you, nourished you, and then prayed for you, and then sent you on the way and told you to walk in the newness of life. And then no sooner as this man right here allegedly does these things, because we really truly don't know all the facts, because it's been settled. It's a confidential agreement. Now, automatically a settlement is an admission of guilt. And of course, the people want to bring closure to this. But I'm trying to give you, the people, understand, not because I care about Eddie Long or any Christian church. Christianity is a religion of the state of Rome, just like Christianity today is a religion of the United States of America, and it has nothing to do with this book whatsoever at all. That's why they don't do nothing that this book commands. They have their own set of laws, their own set of statutes, their own set of commandments. They do what they want to do. The book teaches keep the Sabbath. Christianity says Sunday. The book says you ought to rest on the Sabbath. Christianity says you don't need no rest. You worship God every day. So you see, it's a twisting and warping. Christianity gives you holidays. This holy book gives you holy days. So there's just no comparison. And the reason why you're twisting, warping, distorting, you're all up in air and a pile, because you automatically assume unconsciously that these people are Israelites when they're letting you know that they are Christians. And Christians is a religion from the state of Rome. That's what it is, because Christianity is not spoken of in this book from Genesis to Revelation. Oh, I know what people were called, but that's not what this book represents. This is a Hebraic book, brothers and sisters. And then it says this: and if ye then have judgment pertaining to this life, set them to judge who are least esteemed in the church. I speak to your shame. Is it not so that there's not a wise man among you, no, not one that shall be able to judge between brethren? But brethren go to law before brethren, and that before the believers. Isn't that something? And that's what happens. See, you people out there, I keep telling you folks, get out of this pagan Christianity, because it has nothing to do with this book whatsoever at all. Nothing whatsoever. It's a philosophy. What they did was they have taken the Hebraic scriptures and they said, you know what? It would be nice to use this to get people to govern, to fall in line with our secular rules and laws and regulations and stuff. And it seems like it has good principles to keep, to make good United States of American citizens. Of course, back then, good Roman citizens. And where do you think we get all of our laws from? They come from Rome. Where do you think the Roman Catholic Church come from? Come from Rome. It's crazy. So apparently there's nobody down there in New Birth, neither is there anybody in the religion of Christianity that has any power of influence that is able to judge the matters that go on in those pagan churches. So, hey, that's why I keep telling you folks, I know it's a hard concept for you to grasp. I know it's hard for you, many of you people to understand. And the reason why you can't understand is because you will not come out of her. You see, when you believe wrong, you act wrong. And that's the reason why that you have all these problems with all these sins going on. Now, hey, again, if something goes on here at the Israelite heritage of the Nazarene faith of Abraham at Straightway, we take care of it here, right here in-house. Because, we have the fear of the Most High within us. And that's just true. We don't go to the secular government, the secular world, and they don't have any influence or input about our life whatsoever at all. It's none of their business. Hallelujah. I tell you what, you people, you're amazing. You worried about Eddie Long. You need to be concerned about you. You need to be concerned about them people, because you see, those are Christian churches, and they go to their modern day elders, which is having to be the judicial system of the United States of America. They go to the laws of this land to settle their differences. So therefore, they cannot be disciples of Christ, because this book does not teach us that kind of behavior. So that's why I don't have any input. I already know that Christianity is a chaotic religion anyway. It's twisted and warped and distorted. They're confused in nature and in mind. And you know how I know all these things? Because I used to be a Christian. So I understand it very, very well. That's the reason why it does no good for you Christians out there to try to fight against somebody like me. You know, it's kind of like somebody who used to smoke cigarettes. The last person that you want to hear from if you're smoking cigarettes is somebody who's been delivered from cigarettes. Isn't that the truth? So I hope that you have ears to hear and that you wake up out of sleep. I don't care about what these Christians are doing one bit or another, because the book don't tell you that. The Bible teaches discipleship. That's what it teaches. Discipleship, not Christianity. It teaches one nation, the Hebrew Israelites. That's it. And all these other religions and factions out there, they're just using our book to try to govern their lifestyle, because they don't have one of their own. And the worst thing that the United States of America hate more than anything is that our people are coming to the knowledge of the truth of who they are and why we should keep his commandments. You know, 2 Chronicles 7:14 is the hallmark. It's one of the staples of the faith, the real true faith. If my people, which are called by my name, would humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from your wicked ways, then would you hear from heaven. Then you know what else he promised? He said he'd do? He said, I'm going to heal your land. He sure did. That's what he said he'd do. That he said he would do all that. And so the reason why many of us are still in bondage, in mind, both naturally and spiritually, is because we will not adhere to the principles of this book right here. Come out of her, my people. We're Israel. We've always been in exile to our Father. And that's the truth. And we're going to be in exile until the Messiah comes. And we've always been a small nation. We've always been a peculiar people. Now we're scattered all over the earth, not just in a created land that was sanctioned by Great Britain and the United States in 1948 under the League of Nations, just because they told you, just because they took a bunch of transplants from Germany and they stick them in a land because they were done wrong. You know how many other nations on this earth that was done wrong by the Europeans and the United States of America, or the Americans, and yet they still haven't gotten any reparations? But hey, don't worry about it. If you're an Israelite, you're a Hebrew Israelite, follow the laws and statutes and commandments and come out of those Christian churches. That's the reason why the elders today can't answer this stuff, because they don't have the wisdom, they don't have the knowledge, and they definitely can't articulate it, because they do not know the scriptures and the power of the Most High, and the scriptures cannot be broken. And that's the truth, and that's the truth straightway.